this way since we hooked up.
I ain't walking away no matter what.
Tell me what you're fighting for, and I will fight with you. Cause this is our love story. This is our journey. This is our love story. This is our journey.
Okay, the hardest thing was not directed to, it was not our relationship particularly, but it was something that we went through last year. And I say we because it's something that Mandla Nkosi went through last year when he was in an accident, and then he had to go had brain surgery. I mean, that was a really frightening time, because in those times, that's when you have to trust God, because you don't know what's going to happen. And in every operation, there was a new thing happening. So it was just really learning to know that God was present. And it was not even about the recovery mode or anything, like in terms of regaining your speech or anything, because I was always like, my views, irrespective of whether you can speak or you can't do certain things, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. But the hardest thing was like losing him. You know, that's something I would have not been able to handle.
I think the one thing that I learned from it was just a personal challenge to love Anda more than she loves me. And that I saw it, but I couldn't respond to it when I was injured. You know, the only response I had was just tears. You know, she would travel from Pretoria every day to make visiting hours, and then travel all the way back, and that's roughly about 80-something kilometers every single day. And she was going to be doing her first year of board exams in the midst of some of that, just of all of that. And just being married now, it constantly challenges me every day. Like, though I might come very far from what that standard looks like in my heart or in my head, but just constantly pursuing to want to love her more than she loves me. But every single time looking at the truest source of where I get that love, which is, you know, Father God through Jesus, you know, and measuring my approach and that sacrificial love against Jesus' sacrificial love, to say I want to love her more than she does every day, to go that extra mile. It's not even an extra mile. She might see it as, it's what I'm meant to do. You know, I need to come see you when you're not okay. But to do it at that level before we even married, for me, shows that it's really till death do us parts that we are approaching in that particular case. That was the toughest.
Being able to understand that you are living with a different human being, that you're living with someone who's got a different upbringing from you, a different background, and just a different perspective on life, and understanding that, and being able to agree when you disagree, you know, being able to live together when you disagree. I think that's been the most challenging thing, because we live together, we stay in the same house, you know. So if I get mad, it's not like when you're dating where, you know what, I'm just not going to respond to your text. No, I see you, you're right here, you're in the house. So being able to know that whatever happens, whatever disagreements we have, we still in this together. Like, being married is like going to work. It's like a job, you know. You can hate your job and still have to go into work, because that's how jobs work. And it's the same with marriage. Sometimes you hate your job, but you have to be there in the morning, and dressed up. You show up and you clock in because it's your job. And I think seeing it that way has been challenging, you know, especially when you're so used to being independent, which I think we both are. We have very strong personalities. It's very challenging to play the tambourine, as Chris Rock puts it, which is kind of being insignificant at times, you know, allowing yourself to be insignificant at times so that someone else can be significant.
I think for me, I would say finances, simply because there's a point where you guys are making money, and now you have to align on priorities, which is not an easy thing, because now you tend to love certain things and she wants to spend it on other things. So and if you don't have those honest discussions, your marriage can really face a serious knock, because you will then see it as you've been disrespected, or all those other things. So I think for me it was for us, if I can speak for both of us, it was finances and the honest discussions that we needed to have.
This is our love story. This is our journey.
I make the money, she spends the money. You know, I'm a provider. I tell you, FNB in contact is from the devil. Because when I'm sitting at work and I see all those SMSs come through, I start working faster. I'm typing faster. So man, to be serious, I think we manage our money together. We always discuss what we want to spend together. We try not to make any financial decisions without each other, especially big financial decisions. Major decisions like, you know, buying a car, buying a house. We discuss that first. We pray about it. We see if we can afford it, and then we basically go for it. We don't live above what we can afford. For us, there's no peer pressure in terms of how we spend our money. We spend the money on what we want to do, how we want to do it, when we want to do it. And I think for her, she's very cool. She lets me handle most of the finances, and she trusts me, which is cool. I think she trusts me too much, actually, because sometimes I do make financial mistakes. And
that's okay.
Yeah,
that's how we grow together, and we learn.
And she's not very demanding as well. So, like, you know, Verona's the type of person, like, she's really cool with anything. Yeah, she's like, as long as I'm there, we're together, everyone's cool. She's not like, I want a Versace kind of, or Gucci, you know. She's not that girl, but
which would be lovely.
Which would be nice, but she's not that demanding person. So it takes that financial pressure off, and we focus more, I think, on a quality of life to be able to give Judah all that he wants. And I think we come from the background where we had nothing. We grew up. My mom worked in a shoe factory. My dad was a truck driver. You know, so we also want to be responsible what God has entrusted us with, so that we're able to give Judah something, you know, that he can live with as well.
I think we came in very hyped up and eager and wanting to do so many things, and I think at some point we overcommitted ourselves, but I think it's something that we know where we are now, and we've come up with a plan, because it's very important to come up with a plan, and I think we've overcome it. I think we're just, you know, being married and young, and you want to have this and that. You want to, you know, property, this, that. You wanna be great, but sometimes you need to pace yourself well. So I think we didn't pace ourselves very well, because I mean we're still young, so we just thought we wanted to
get it all done
in like a few years. But I think we are on a good place. I don't know, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think we really did overcommit ourselves, and you know, the whole issue of when is the right time to buy these cars, property, when do you buy, and all of that. Yeah, I think it's that. But yeah, it's the whole, you need to have a plan before you execute. I think we went into execution mode and then started planning.
Yeah, we did, and then we'll do the planning afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, me being a freelance artist, you know, working in the entertainment industry is like it's really like this. And I don't think he expected that. I remember asking him at some point, I'm like, I'm sure you like thinking, why is she not a corporate girl? Because she could be getting a monthly salary. She could just, you understand? Because for me, it's like I have money, then I don't have money. But I think because, you know, he met me in my sort of hustling years, it was even worse, you know. So I think he knows me like at my lowest, and he's always had like a full-time job and stuff. And, you know, I never wanted him to feel like, oh my gosh, like here's this guy now, he's taking on all my responsibilities, and then there's months where you don't make money, and then he has to pay for my debit orders. And then, I think it was a big challenge for us. And I had to go to school for like 3 years full-time. And although I was working now and then, you know, it was still very hard because, I mean, when you have a family, there's rent, there's cars to be paid, there's insurance, there's school fees, there's stuff. And it's like, why am I doing this to my husband? Like, why couldn't I, you know? But he really appreciates the fact that I'm following my dreams. He supports me. And I think the kids have sort of also gotten into that vibe where they're like, you know, they get so happy for me and they support me, you know, because it's something else. You need to be very mature to understand that the instability that exists within my industry. And when you are building a home, you know, you need so many finances, and the last thing you want is to be sitting down fighting about money or saying we don't have money for grocery or the kids' school fees is not paid, and I'm sitting on the other end like, I can't help. How am I supposed to help? I wish I could help, but I can't. So for us, it's been a struggle, but thank God, you know, I think God has been really good in blessing us, you know, to be able to sort of afford, to sort of try and afford the life that we live. You know, it's a work in progress. Having a family is very demanding financially, and it's so hard to be happy when you're lacking. You know, when there's no food and there's no money, and then you don't have petrol, and then the kids don't have food to eat. It's so hard to be happy. So for me, like being financially happy, sexually, emotionally, and spiritually, just that whole connection, all those things, if you can find all that balance.
It was tricky because now we needed to learn who's the spender, who's the saver.
Yeah.
Ooh. You are. I think you're more sweet than I am. No, stop. Actually, I am the saver. I think Lou goes all out. Like the only thing he'll save on is groceries, and I don't understand.
All of them.
You're gonna save on the groceries? Like, I do not understand. He only wants the specials.
You gotta eat. The man's gotta eat.
Get 2 bundles of pumpkin and you get some potatoes or something. I'm like, but other than that, he'll go all out. Like when we're out with friends or me or just us and Jay, or he'll book a holiday he didn't tell me about. I'm like, how much did you spend on this? Do we need it? So I think we had to learn that dynamic. Okay, where's the balance between the two of us, which wasn't easy, even when coming to family, because now family was still used to asking us for money, you know, like, okay, can you please send me 500 rand, can you please do so we were in the habit of just doing that, and then the next thing we're short of something, but I'm aware, or he's aware, that there's still a bit of money. Where did it go to? So we'd get into those little quarrels, but we had to learn the discipline and the balance of, okay, monthly, this is how we're going. We can spoil ourselves. There's money for luxury. And if it's finished, penny.
Oh, that's simple. I just give the money to her. Just, girl, there's your money. Do what you gotta do. I think that and transparency, to an extent.
Yeah.
Not all the way through, because that's spontaneous. I still need to be spontaneous.
Sure.
I can't be spontaneous if you like, what did you just buy for 500 rand? I'm like, babe, I bought roses. I'm so sorry. I should have told you that I'm going to surprise you with roses.
Okay.
But you have to, for the most part, she has to kind of know where you're standing. And yeah, I think in every relationship, there's someone who's good with money and there's someone who's a bit of a splurger.
Yeah.
And I think the splurger should entrust the one who's good with money to deal with the bulk of the money, and the one who saves should entrust the splurger to do the fun thing. So I think we have that balance where, you know, I'll initiate things that maybe are not in our budget, and then she'll kind of make sure that we stay afloat all the time, that we are planned, that little Nuri trust fund doesn't get blown up. But yeah, I just, I trust her with the money.
She handles the food and the Netflix and then just some other commitments that she really had in her heart to do for her family, because after completing studies, it was just, the shock at home that someone's found me, we're getting married, and it was like, yo. And she still has that sense of, I still want to do something for my family, and these are the things I'd like to still take care of, up until a point where obviously I need to then recommit those finances back into our family. One day when we have kids, those need to reshuffle again.
I'm in charge.
So how do you manage your finances?
I have his bank details and I know when he gets paid. I know how much he gets paid. We have a budget. We've actually done a budget. We've got an Excel spreadsheet where we put in all our expenses, and we visit it at least twice a month just to see where we are. Sometimes, a lot of the times we go over budget. Yeah, so I manage the finances. So what we've done is, we'll probably have one account where all our debit orders go off. Yeah, so, and then, so he gives me money when he gets paid, and I'm a happy wife.
I think he's better with money because he's also had a lot of experience with money. I've only had proper experience. Actually, no, I think from university you actually have experience with money. But I think right now we are still trying to find our feet around a lot of the things at home. We haven't we've written a budget list of what we need to take care of, but it's a thing of we don't have a system yet. We're still trying to figure out everything.
So we've got 3 accounts. It's my account, our account, which is her account. So her account is 2 in 1. It's our account and her account. Yes. So yeah.
Because I'm not a spender. So
I'm told.
He's a spender. So I manage things properly on my account. So it doesn't make sense to have 2 accounts if I can manage it from my account.
It holds us accountable and more honest about where we are and how we're spending and what we're spending on. So that we also manage better where we're taking our money, who we're giving, what we're giving. Currently I come up with a lot of, things. Yeah. So it helps.
Well, and this is not over spiritualizing, it's just what it is. Whenever there's provision speaks to what is needed in the home. So in other words, it's not like get money and just become secretly whatever with it. No, provision of anything that comes straight to the home, and then we know what it is that will, sometimes it's like I would say, if ever I had 1,000 rand, I'm like, this is not for paying this is not for paying for big things. This is entertainment and this is food. Certain things come in different packages that you can see. Just say, when money comes, we honor the Lord, and then this is what needs to be.
To elaborate honor the Lord.
Honor, I don't believe, well, that's why I'm not a pay the tithe. You don't pay God. It's you appreciating what He's given you. So when you even do it yourself, it's an appreciation to say, wow, you have given. The fact that you have given, this is my appreciation. So which then doesn't make you remain stuck in saying, I'm just going to do 10%. One day you're just so appreciative. You may take the money as it comes and just throw it all into the Lord and say, Lord, let it be for your work. It's your appreciation. Because I think the whole thing of giving to the Lord it should not be measured by the rands and cents. You should measure it with your gratitude of what it means to you. So if ever, that's why if when you give, it's a duty because you have to, you need to stop and realign and just say, I appreciate you, Lord, for what you're doing for me. And of course, some other people are doing it as a discipline to teach them to get into a certain, it's great, it's fine, but you do not want to have a child that you always force them to say, come and say dad, come and say hello to mommy. You want that voluntary love, and it's so bigger than finances. It's just the time we give to people. It's time we give to others.
Stewardship.
It's just the whole package. So it's really how, in your appreciation of who he is, that's what you give out of. That's where the cheerful giver, Lord loves the cheerful giver, because you're so happy doing what you're doing. You're not bound by duty.
And so what you find is giving back and honoring God comes back to you, maybe not monetarily, but your children are healthy. You have health. The stress levels in Johannesburg are so high, to just be sane from day to day and not be worried about being hijacked or mugged. Those kind of things are very important.
This is our love story. This is our journey.
My husband is my best friend. I will never say anything to someone else he doesn't know, or tell someone else something I cannot tell my husband, because I look at friendship as a generator, which can and maintain the light while the main source power is gone. And then you look at each other. What were we fighting about? You have forgotten, because you're friends. Happiness is circumstantial, euphoric, externally driven, and short-lived. But joy is an attitude, a state of mind, and is internally motivated regardless of prevailing circumstances. Now you see why I say pillars of joy. You can attain joy even under difficult circumstances, because happiness, you want somebody to make you happy, and I can tell you right now, no one can make you happy. No, especially your spouse, because once you come close, you become critical. You see things you didn't see when you were dating, touching your feet under the table and all that. You see the real him and the real her. But that joy and that friendship will last.
Sure.
Marriage is between two people, and keep it that way. I know we always want to bring in people, but marriage is between two people. If you bring in someone, it must always be at the level of a unit bringing in someone. So the moment someone comes in because one person is not happy with the other, or one person is, it doesn't work. It should always be between two people, and keep it that way. There should never be anything that competes against your marriage in whatever way. So whatever your marriage gets to compete against, it will resent. I mean, when there's competition, one has to bow. So your marriage will cause, if it's your job, your marriage will cause a job to bow, and you will begin to resent your job. If it's your families, if your marriage is competing against families, you'll end up resenting your families or despising your families. Even if it's money, sometimes your marriage can compete against you making money and all of that. It will end up despising your efforts towards, generating wealth and all. So your marriage should always be, and always maintain integrity of your marriage. Maintain integrity of your marriage. If you cannot treat it with integrity, you cannot expect it to thrive or grow.
Next time on Our Love Journey.
Those SMSs in the morning that he would send, like, good morning to the most beautiful, good morning. He'll send really sweet stuff in the morning, and that was like, ooh, like it was exciting, like it felt like new love, and it is still new love. It is always going to be new love, but it's those butterflies.